And they're off. Here we go.
Further Faster, the best independently owned outdoor store in the known universe. Whether you are heading out, climbing, paddling, tramping, running adventures, look no further than Further Faster for all your gear and expertise needs over the summer. Head to 57A, Buchan Street, Sydenham, Ōtautahi, Christchurch, or hit them up at www.furtherfaster.co.nz.
They go something like further, faster, they're in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger, Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious, go to further, faster now.
Oh, further, faster, they're in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger, Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious, go to further, faster now.
Dirt Church Radio. Episode 295 of Dirt Church Radio. I'm Matt Raymond.
And I'm Eugene Bingham. Tēnā katoa, no mai. We made it 295.
Yeah, I know.
Oof, rolls off the tongue.
It does.
It's a lot. Poor buggers. There you go, Matt Raymond.
You going to say what you said? You haven't said the thing.
What do you mean? What, they're poor buggers?
Oh.
I did.
Did you?
I said we made
There we
it.
go.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Let's have a poll.
Yeah, dirtchurchradio@gmail.com.
Oh, dear.
Yes or no, did I? Anyway, this is an absolute train wreck of a start. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm a train wreck. As we were speaking before, sitting in the car. I am tired. I'm tired, man. Tired. But I'm okay. Yeah. Big on call. Couple of days, Friday, Saturday. It never leads to kind of you getting full rest after the end of your workday, and it is what it is. I'm not down a coal mine, but
Have you given that up now? Going down the coal mining?
Yeah, black lung that took me out. But the training continues unabated, so that was cool. And yeah, just one of those weeks where everything what is it that sometimes decades happen in weeks and weeks feel like decades or something like that. I don't know, but it's just been a good week. Et toi?
Well, I made a huge discovery this week. Very exciting. Last week on the podcast, if you didn't hear it, I talked about that map hanky thing of the Redwoods. I bought it at the Whakatāne Redwood Visitor Centre. It's got all the trails on it of Whakatāne, and I wasn't sure what it was called. Well, I heard from Sean, who wrote in to say it's called a manky.
That's disgusting.
It's called a manky.
Do you have
map hanky
with you? Yeah.
With me? No,
Yeah.
I should have bought it. What do you call it?
Show me.
Yeah, show you to the kids do at school.
Show and tell.
Show and tell. That's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't. Yeah. So, look. Yeah. Apart from that, I mean, that's pretty much the highlight of any week, isn't it? Discovering that. So, apart from that, it's been good. Yeah. You had an exciting chat.
Yeah, I had a super exciting chat. Dan Jones, so the Whakatāne kid who's well and truly taken the ultra running world by storm. I spoke to him last week about his first international season as a professional runner, and make it clear he's been an elite runner for many years, but being a professional runner, running for the Adidas Terrex team, the challenges, surprises, and rigors of living a life where running is very much his job. And as usual, he was brilliant. And super excited to bring you the chat later. We dive into his year of awesome results at Western States, CCC, Bryce Canyons, and his plans for the rest of the year, and so much more. But first,
Greatest run ever.
Greatest run ever.
Greatest Run Ever, brought to you by Squad Run. Give their 4-week special coaching trial a go. You can find the link on the website, dirtchurchradio.com. This is the part of the show where we ask you to write into us and tell us your greatest run ever. It doesn't have to be a race or a mountain summit. Might just be a run around the block. Something that sung to you for some reason. Send it in to us, dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. This is from Cheryl Walker. My greatest run ever was the 100-miler in 2023 at Tarawera. I was born in Lower Hutt and dragged by my parents to live in Australia when I was 14. Flying into Rotorua and getting that first smell of New Zealand air, yes, even Rotorua air, always brings tears to my eyes. The soft green grass, the proper blue lakes, the rolling hills, the trees that when the wind blows through, they have a different sound to the Australian bush. I could go on, but the senses light up every time. The race was a spectacular showcase of all those things I love about my old home. Even though I fell about 8k in from the start and had blood-encrusted shin, she puts hello downhill Whakatāne where I tripped over the always invisible rock. I could have stayed out in the pristine natural forest forever, the crunch of the fine gravel, stunning lake views, and hearing the Kiwi accents all around me at the checkpoints made me feel like I was really at home. Even when I finished the race and I was certainly in need of sleep, I had a tear in my eye as I knew it was all over and I would soon be leaving New Zealand again. I packed up my pounamu with sadness and left. I returned to the Mila in 2024 with a sore knee, which turned out to be torn and only made it to the buried village before the mighty DNF. Still, I was overjoyed to be out there, even with the pain in my knee. I'm returning in 2025 to the Mila with excitement as once again I get to soak up the sights and sounds of my homeland, Aotearoa, maybe for a new greatest run ever.
Wow. Cheryl, thank you. Nau mau hoki mai ki tō kāinga. You're home. I love that smell of Rotorua. I could smell it when she said it. It's some people object to it, but I just love it.
Well, there's also it
evokes lots of memories.
Absolutely, it does. And there's also, when I was doing laps of the Blue Lake or Tikitapu and in the forest, there's a distinct smell. I think it's the volcanic soil, and it's not that sort of sulfurous, but it's a rich, deep, verdant smell, and it's just incredible. And you don't get it in Auckland or in other places, but it's just, yeah.
We hear you, Cheryl. Yeah, love it. Thank you for sending it in. Wonderful. Good luck for the training for 2025. See you there. The rest of you, send them in to us. dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. Be like Cheryl.
Right, let's crack on our chat with Dan Jones. On a beautiful Wellington day, Dan Jones joins us. Welcome back to Dirt Church Radio.
Yeah, cheers, Matt. It's great to be back here. It's great to be back home in Wellington.
It's was the weather nicer in Europe than it is here?
You could say that, but it was actually packing it in the last week that I was in Europe, and it sounds like it's gone a full-fledged kind of cold snap going through there as well. So hey, wherever you are in the world, maybe it's just a bit chilly right now.
Yeah. And floods.
True.
Nasty. But look, we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about talk about you. And I mean, how long have you been home for?
I've been home for a week. Yeah, I know the Kiwis love a good bit of weather chat. Maybe not so much around the rest of the world, but I've seen maybe a few rays of sunshine on the weekend. I was able to get out for a dive on the Sunday when it was nice. The sun was shining, and it was really just good to be back home and doing some of the things that I really love to do outside the normal routine of running.
I saw you got some scallops. They looked absolutely delicious. On that, and I guess what I really wanted to talk to you about was kind of your reflections on your first year as a professional, like a full ride professional athlete. Are you one of the only pro trail runners on the scene who, enjoys a hunt and a dive for kaimoana? Do you know anyone else who would be doing such things in their off season?
Yeah, well, I know my good mate Hayden Hawks is a keen hunter, and maybe I know he's definitely keen to give diving a go. He's coming back to New Zealand this summer, and hopefully I can drag him into the water. Well, not drag him into the water, show him what's up in the water, try and get him a bit comfortable, and have a look around. And actually, people on my team, on the Adidas Terrex team, Dana Marino, she does a bit of spearfishing, a lot more. Maybe a few years ago, I think, and it's pretty cool hearing the stories. It is one of those pastimes, hobbies that you can I love, and I get a lot of hype and share some good stories with people that do it as well. So it's very cool.
How hard is it to come off? You've had a big year, you've had another very successful year. How hard is it to decompress? Do you have a period where you come off a season like the European one and it takes you a couple of days, or can you kind of switch off?
Yeah, I don't know if runners really can switch off that easily, right? You race, and I think no matter how the race goes, there's always elements of what you can improve on. So it actually takes a good skill to finish a race, and I'd be like, okay, you maybe reflect on it, and then you take a bit of time, and then you really just try and have that moment, or that little period of getting back into just really things that are not running, and that you can maybe just get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and a refresh, then a reset to start that next block. And I think that's quite key in running, because you can be so driven and always be thinking about that next race or that next workout, next training period. And for me, that's like doing what I was doing on the weekend was a perfect example of a different hobby where you're still keeping active, but you're not looking at your watch, are you? Well, unless you're looking at your dive times and surface resets.
I mean, that's very true. It's interesting you refer to it as a different hobby, because I guess where we differ is that although running is very much a part of my life, and Dirt Church Radio very much a part of my life, Eugene's life, it is essentially a hobby, and running is now your job, right?
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes I forget that, just of the what's on my kind of brain, even though like I live it. I do feel like a professional traveling around the world and being part of amazing team camps and sharing that kind of journey with my teammates and competitors that are my mates as well. And I think it's kind of just sitting in the theoretical sense in my brain. It's just like, okay, I'm a professional now, but I practice it anyway. Like, obviously I practice it every day. I dream about it. I live it. So it's really cool. It's just a different mindset now. It's like just part of the daily routine, knowing that this is what I got to do to try and improve and get results. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
It's quite a refreshing, and probably a lot of people, and I put myself in that camp, could probably use that refresh that, hang on, this isn't a job. You know what I mean? Like you look at it like this is something you get to do, not something that you necessarily have to do. I mean, it's been again, I said it at the start, it's been a huge year for you. You've done some incredible races, and again, like you've been knocking it out of the park. But what was that transition? It was just, and forgive me, it was just after Tarawera, wasn't it, that you announced that, you joined the Terrex team and that you were now going to be a professional athlete. What was that transition like?
Oh, the transition was crazy. I mean, it all happened all of a sudden, and my ASICS contract was coming to an end around March, and I was lucky enough for Ruth Croft to put in a good word with the team for me, and all of a sudden, the contact starts happening. We had some calls, and it just went really quickly from there. And next thing you know, like I'm a few big packages, or actually the first thing that came to the house was the shoes to try out. And so I got to try out the shoes to make sure that, the fit works, because you don't want to sign with something that's not going to work for you. And they were great. So then it all happened very quickly. I mean, signed the contract, received another big shipment to the house of all the gear that I was going to need. And then literally, the next month I was flying off to the States to join a team camp getting ready for the Canyons 50K. And that was my lead up race. Well, that was the travel that I took part in to start my American training block leading into Western States. So, I mean, I forgot your question right now, but it happened quick after Tarawera, and I was just very fortunate for things just to fall in place. But it was something I was working towards, for the last few years in the trail space.
Because you had talked about the last time we spoke, you were looking for, say, this year's UTMB to move up from that sort of ASICS, not the ASICS, so you were sponsored ASICS, but like move up into that team space. Hey, so it was something that was kind of, the cogs were turning for you. How was that? Were you nervous, man? I mean, when you get shoes in the mail and you're like, I kind of like the look at these, but I want this to work. I want these to be nice. I mean, was that a nerve-wracking run around the block, or I'm sure it's more than a run around the block?
Yeah, exactly. It was, but I think it's as you say, because you see the YouTube videos, the results that came out of Western States the previous year with, I think Tom Evans kind of debuted the shoes, and then everyone was trying to get their hands on a pair, the Agravic Speed Ultras. And when they showed up, it was just like, yeah, huge excitement. And as you say, you want it to work because this was a big potential. And yeah, I mean, you have to have a shoe that works for you when you're running for a brand. And this is a shoe that was showcased as being the premier, like, kind of super shoe of trail running. So it was definitely one that I wanted for my feet to fit with. And yeah, I was not surprised, but just pleasantly impressed.
That's good. I mean, yeah, right? Like, you want it. And I guess, again, to contrast, it means so much more than like, oh, I'm going to have to send these shoes back. This is like, I'm going to have to say no to this professional contract. I mean, what was it? Have you, I guess I'll leave it to you. You know, we talked about that transition and you know, your mate Ruth that's such a Kiwi way, isn't it? Putting in a good word for your mate. And what were some of in terms of the transition, what were some of the maybe the unexpected challenges of becoming a professional athlete?
Well, honestly, the challenges are when you are trying to make things work more so by yourself. I guess, yeah, the way that I look at it is, you know, they took me on as an athlete that had started to get some results, and I really felt like the Tarawera 2023 was my kind of first step into being maybe noticed, and then my 5th place at Western States, I thought really kind of solidified that, but I still was not really being able to pick up a big, like a contract or like a team contract. So I was like, you know, like it's got to be coming sooner or later if I keep on putting in the results. And so then when I raced Tarawera 2024, it felt really good, to be honest, because it was just like okay, 2023 wasn't a fluke. You know, I'm here to put in consistent results. I'm doing what I got to do to become noticed and to get picked up. And yeah, it happened really quick after that, as I said. So to actually do that and then be placed in that team environment, is very special. And as I said, there's not too many tough things that I have to worry about now. It's like the houses get put up, even the food on race week is all catered for, and it's like, whoa, I don't have to worry so much about the logistics around races anymore and getting there. It's amazing. I guess the main thing is that you could say is the toughest thing. There's just so many cool races on these days, and we do have team races. We're not expected to be at every single one of them, but there are the biggest races in the world that we want to get to and we want to represent at. So I guess that's the thing. It's like, you know, you're part of a team. You want to get amongst that team environment. You get along to those races.
And I guess the challenge is setting the standard, hey, like, or maintaining that standard. You've done that work to get there, and that's the challenge, is to keep showing up. How was I mean, I saw you out on course. You were just coming down the hill at Blue Lake, and Eugene was swimming across the lake, and I was running around it. We were having a break from our commentating. I was trying to race him back. He was going across and back. I was going around, and I saw you. You just looked so comfortable and in control. How was Tarawera 2024 for you?
Yeah, it was really good. I guess I just had a really good summer of training. I went in there knowing the area, obviously, being nearly my backyard, where I kind of grew up, Whakatāne, home, like born and bred. And then, yeah, I just felt real good and just quite confident, having raced it hard the year before, knowing that, like, if I put together a pretty good race and, like, stay on top of my nutrition and hydration, that there's no reason why, even though my mate Hayden wasn't there, that I couldn't put in a performance that was actually, like, on par with that. And I actually felt I did. The course was slightly longer, you know, there's more elevation, and my time was only about 10 minutes slower. So, or maybe just over that, I can't remember, but it was just really good, and I just felt good the whole way. It was cool having, like, just a local support, and that community of Rotorua is pretty bloody awesome. My sister it runs past my sister's house, and that's where we'd been staying that week. So, and she actually was just about to shoot off to a wedding that afternoon, and they just stood out in the corner in their, like, best dress and cheered me on as I ran through on the way to the finish line, or the home straight, 30k to go. Yeah.
It's
and I guess that's it, isn't it? It's so hard to, you put yourself as like, we don't know what it's like to be a Chamonix local. We don't know what it's like to be a California local for Western States or whatever. But having New Zealand so small that those of us, we all kind of like, I've lived in Rotorua, you grew up in Whakatane, we know people and it's nice, isn't it? Is that real home connection?
Yeah, it's really good. You really can't beat that because you pick up a good base of people that do want you to succeed as you go along, and your journey gets longer and longer in the sport, and that's pretty cool as well. Going overseas to have that happen, but it will never rival what you have back in your kind of hometown or that local space that you're used to. It's just real special, and you almost feel like part of you feel the culture in Rotorua as well. As you well know, it's you don't typically get that in other races, and actually, as a Kiwi, I just feel like it's pretty bloody awesome to have like the haka at the start line, and then especially at the finish. I've talked about it before, but you can't really beat that feeling of that finish line and just that response.
It's interesting, isn't it, having been on the finish line a bunch when that haka is performed, and at the start actually, having had that deep privilege being from here, you can see people like, Adrian McDonald, Zach Miller. They looked kind of impressed. They also looked a little bit puzzled. They're like, perhaps a little bit overwhelmed. But when, yourself or Ruth crosses the line, and it's that, like, we get it, it's that respect, that awhi, it's not a challenge, it's a supportive thing. It's so special, hey?
Yeah, it is.
We mentioned his name a couple of times. I mean, and thinking about relationships, you've talked about your deep friendship with Hayden Hawks. What was it like, kind of, did it not change the relationship or anything, but joining the ranks, essentially? Like, you're there, you're an elite athlete, you're training together with another elite athlete, and then suddenly you're both on, you're both for big, there's not too many bigger shoe companies in the world than, Adidas or Hoka. You're both in now competing teams. Did it kind of spur competition, or is it just same as?
It doesn't matter for us around what teams we're on, for sure. It was better when I was 1-0 on him after Tarawera the first time, but now he's got 2 up on me this year, and like for very good reason. He's a professional. He's just on top of his game right now. A great race by him at Western States, but his CCC performance was like, I could see it in training. So we spent a good 2.5 months, 2 months-ish training together leading into Western States. And I would say, and I think he would say it as well, we were fairly closely matched. Like he'd be a bit stronger than me on some hill workouts, and I would be a bit stronger on some of the flat, more rolly workouts. And so we were like, it is what it is. Let's hit Western States, and if we can run together and push each other, which we ended up doing, then it's going to probably pay off well for the both of us in our end result for that race. He got the 3rd, I got the 4th. He was very close to 2nd, obviously, with that nearly sprint finish, or just that closing real hard towards the end of the race. And then CCC, we didn't get to spend as much time training together because we're just like kind of doing our thing. Like, but I think that mainly came from we got together for a couple workouts, and I couldn't stick with him. Like, I felt like I was having to basically redline way too hard to try and stick with him on the hills. His strength, like for recovery from Western States going into the training block for CCC was insane, and I could see that he was in great shape, and I totally respected that, and like was saying to him, bro, like, even if we start this workout together, you go on if you need to go, and I'll stay within my limits so I can recover, or I can come back the next day and continue my training effectively. And kudos to him, like, he was in great shape leading in, and he executed a great race.
What do you think? I mean, it's so nice to hear you talk about that kind of, because we all have those conversations with our friends, don't we, when we go running, like, if you Some you want to stick with him, some you want to just burn the boats, and some you're saying, hey, look, I've got to do my own thing. That's lovely to hear that happens at all levels of the sport. What do you think? I was going to ask you about sort of those 1%ers, because you guys are professional athletes. You are, obviously very mindful about your routines and recovery and looking towards those next blocks. What do you think, made the difference for Hayden in that space?
I think a lot of it was confidence, maybe. Like leading into he was injured, earlier on. Well, obviously with his knee injury for a good 6 months, or he wasn't able to race almost for a year. And then coming into Black Canyon, he got that win last year at the start of the year, and then he got injured again after that. And so his Western States training block was relatively short in the scheme of things. So when you're an athlete like that, you've been training for a good amount of years, you've got a certain amount that will stick with you. And so all it really took was that confidence, I think, of a third, nearly second place at Western States, and to build on top of that. So he had that short training block leading into Western States, so he wasn't overdone, which is a key component to, his success in recovering and then jumping into the next block. That's huge. But also the confidence side of things, where he was able to, get a lot from it. After a short training block, got third at Western States, and then go into the CCC block, which, is probably more to his strengths of run climbing. It's a running race. It's not like UTMB where you're hiking half the way. So probably those two big factors, confidence and just, a really nice training block between the two.
And you talk about just that depth of experience. Wow. And for yourself, how was CCC?
Yeah, for me, it was really looking at result first and foremost. Fourth place, okay, pretty hard to swallow, getting another fourth. But performance-wise, I was very happy with how I ended up running the race and just leaving it all out on course, especially because, maybe my confidence was probably not as high for a race like CCC, where I usually would prefer a course like Tarawera, which has got more rollings, a few short punchy hills, and then you're good to go. You just got that kind of rollover stuff. But CCC, it's crazy, the amount of hills, and finishing with 3 massive hills, big uphills, big downhills, it just destroys you on the back end. It destroys you in the front end. You get some nicer bits in the middle, and then it destroys you again just when you think starting to go all right. But then I went in with a game plan, thinking, okay, I know this race goes out super hard. You've seen it in the YouTube videos, you hear about it. As long as I can run within myself up the first climb, which is a hectic one, right up to above 2,500 meters. I forget the name of it, but it's the first hour and a half of racing. Within the first 2 or 3K, you're already climbing up a hill. And so I was in about 40th place going up that hill. And I'm like, people had their poles out going up the road in the first 2 or 3K on the asphalt. And it's, I got my poles out not long after that, to be fair, but once we hit the single track. And so you're looking at a big line in front of you, there's a even longer line behind, and it's like, okay, I look at my watch and I'm at 170 beats per minute.
Wow.
Which is just below kind of my threshold in a 100k race. And I'm thinking, wow, these guys must be pretty fit, or either I'm unfit, or maybe I'm going up too slow or not hard enough. And you just got to have a bit of trust that you're going to come right, people are going to blow up a bit, and you got good strength in a 100k race to make moves later on. And that did happen. So lucky I did stick to my game plan and didn't try and go too far out of those realms when you maybe get a bit panicky in the first hour or so. So it is what it is. I think experience comes into play there as well.
Wow, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? There's that difference between this is hard and this is going wrong.
Yeah, and we do have different metrics for the technology side of things. I'm looking at my heart rate going up there, but I'm also thinking to myself, okay, I've done workout. I've done 20-minute, 3 times 20-minute uphill workouts. I'm probably working just under that, but so I should be. I shouldn't be going beyond that kind of effort in the first an hour of a 100k race. That's just stupid. So what do you kind of expect? You expect people that have gone out too hard to come back here, or you just work on your strengths later on and make sure that you haven't, burnt too many matches earlier on so that you don't have that strength later on. And that was like for me, the about 15k to 60 odd k, and that's where I managed to reel in most of the field. But then, it got hard. It got hard again with those last massive hills and descents. It always is, but it's just one of those things where you have to, I don't know, just be super strong at climbing, or just pull something out, or just have a little bit more energy towards the end of a race in a race like that.
Do you think, you've done you've done the big ones, you've done Western, and I know that that's far less people. You did UTMB last year, you did the big loop of the mountain. Is it that UTMB fever? Is it that kind of everyone's just at a fever pitch, the atmosphere, or do you think it's just something about that's the way that race always goes?
Yeah, as you say, it happens in every single one of the UTMB races. It goes that hard. I haven't done too much racing in Europe, but I have a feeling that in general it goes out pretty hard all over Europe. But especially for these races, just because when you get the amount of people that have trained up specifically for this event, the fields are very, very deep, especially as we saw this year and the last couple of years. The fields are getting deeper. There's more athletes. There's more professional athletes. Yeah, just people really want to. This is kind of a make or break race. So if you achieve well in this race, you just have one of those days where everything goes to plan. They can change your life.
And I guess that's the thing, is that everything goes to plan, or everything doesn't go to plan for someone else as well.
Well, that's right. And we saw that a lot through, the UTMB, the males. There's a lot of high dropout rate. And it is it's one of those things. Some people line up underdone or carrying injuries, but if they don't if they don't start hurting, or for some reason you can put that aside on race day and you actually have one of those races. Wow, imagine that. Ruth getting sick. Ruth, I don't think she was injured, but it's just really cool to see the Kiwis and to a certain extent Aussies represented over there.
I always, you always shout for your home team. I'm really lucky. I've got a really cool bubble of Australian friends, so I'm so warm to it. I'm like, yeah, you're succeeding. That's really cool. But man, seeing that part, Ruth's passing move, to take second, that was just that clip. What a move! You just I can't remember the athlete's name who she passed, the Canadian, but my goodness me, what a statement, hey?
Yeah, it was very cool. Ruth and I are on the same team, Adidas Terrex, and we went to Valacine, which is the last crude aid station, and there's about 20k to go. I should know because we go past through the CCC as well. But anyway, it was really cool seeing Ruth come out of there. She just looked real positive, and she was in third place at that time, but she just looked super strong, especially after running 150k already. And then we shot up to La Flégère, which is that once you get to La Flégère, you've done all the climbing on the course, and you just have about 7k descent into Chamonix to the finish line. And when she came up there, it's such a nice feeling to see her, that she'd overtaken. She'd moved up into second place, and she was still moving so well. She's such a legend, just so strong, just amazing. She's so good.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And you're both you're in mutually good company, aren't you? And what a race that, speaking of that, what a race that Katie Sheed had. My goodness me. 20 minutes, smashed that course record by 20 minutes. That's quite the margin, hey?
Oh, yeah. Especially after her win at Western States, which again, that race as well, just a massive performance. So that's just the way the sport's going. People are recovering better, just doing the things that they need to do to show up and back up and putting their best performances out there when it matters. And or every race at UTMB that you take part of is going to be competitive. It's UTMB, CCC, OCC. Watching those races, like we got to watch OCC the day before, and you get a massive amount of inspiration seeing how hard and fast that race goes. You're like, oh, if I could even go like, half that pace or half that effort and then be able to carry it on for CCC, that would be epic. It's really impressive. It is, because then you think, well, what happens if I was an OCC? I know what would happen for me. Like, I had like maybe like aspirations to think like maybe I could do OCC at some stage as well, just to see, because you think about the calendar year, you can only do so many races. So maybe I'll do OCC one year and then be able to back up a bit. I'll have a quicker recovery and do a different race in the back half of the year. But after seeing that, and actually after moving so slowly up that first climb, I'm like, no way do I want to do OCC. I'll be a bloody 100th place in that race.
It's amazing, isn't it? We're starting to see and I think about the Golden Trail Series. I was looking at an article today about the Golden Trail Series. And again, I can't remember the race specifically, but the men's race came down much like, my head. The one that Killian won recently, Zagama. It was 2 seconds. Zanel,
yeah.
Sorry. It was 2 seconds. 2 seconds between them. They're absolutely flying. You're getting the more kind of, you've seen the Kenyan athletes coming into the space as well. It's a fantastically exciting sport, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, you're probably going to see more and more East Africans get amongst. Just it's becoming more professional. The scope of what would you say? Marathon running can contain this many people, and those that want to concentrate on trying to crack it in the the trail space as well. I mean, why not? It's a different, it's a slightly different skill set, but it's all learnable. And I think if you got the engine and you're used to running on maybe more of the potholes or like the more rougher sections of those Kenyan roads, it's not like a hell of a lot of, space where you got to try and bridge that gap between the two.
Right, altitude, all that sort of stuff. Incredible. What, in your opinion, speaking of those kind of 1%ers again, you're saying, like people are recovering more, people are just, they're backing up more. It seems like it's getting tighter at the top. What are those things that, I guess we talked about challenges, and you're like, there's the challenges that is the running itself. Was there anything, moving into the professional space that was surprising for you in terms of, say, recovery or techniques or that technologies? And I don't want you to be like breaking anything proprietary, or I'm not after a scoop, but was there anything that really kind of you went, because you're an experienced guy. I mean, you can recover with the best of them.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think it's more so, the professional side of things where you are now getting paid to race. I was able to, after 3 years, actually, I made 3 years. This is the longest job I've ever had. Leave the crew at Sharesies, where I was working 20 hours a week. So I think, if you think, well, you're dedicating 20 hours of time, sometimes being in the office, doing that whole commute, and now putting that into the kind of extras that you're talking about, that everybody kind of knows about. There's no secrets. It's, doing the strength work, spending a bit more time in the morning to have your coffee and do the activation work so that you are well prepared for your workout, where, it just gets rid of niggles. It's been that, I feel like that is really key, and some people probably don't put enough emphasis on that, is like doing those little things before you run so you feel good during your run, but also so you can back up and not have those little niggles and injuries pop up. That's quite key. And then the strength side of things, putting your legs up when you can, which maybe you probably get a strange look if you try to do that in the office. It is. It's just the professional side of it means you can just dedicate your time and a bit less stress in other areas of your life, because that's all contributing to your adaptations and your recovery. And we get that as a professional sports team. We are a professional sports team in the sense that we have athlete managers, some who are like looking after more the athletes, some that are looking more after the accommodation, the transport, logistics. So that all kind of gets taken care of. That's the stress that we don't have to worry about. And then for the big races like Western States, UTMB week, actually UTMB 2 weeks before, we had the chefs come out to the Chamonix. They are staying in the area, but they'll be cooking up for us like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it sounds a bit like, oh, well, look at these guys. I'm not trying to make it look like that, but it's just one less thing. We don't have to go into Chamonix to the supermarket. We don't have to be like in the hustle and bustle of things. We can be out doing our thing, getting our training done, the last bits of preparation done, without having that stress of the add-ons that would normally come from looking after ourselves by ourselves. That's such a kiwi. You're like, oh, I don't want to make it sick. Like, I work in a hospital, we've got a cafeteria. Do you know, like, if you want to think of it that way, at my job there's a place where food is prepared. It's the same with you. It's your job, right? And I guess that's the thing that must be cool though, hey, like actually getting like a chef who's like, hey, I'm going to make you a nutritious meal, and it's not like a muesli bar on your commute. It's very cool, because like 2 weeks out, you're like, oh yeah, let's it's very nutritious meals, as you say, but you're not like worrying too much about what the race is going to happen, because it's still 2 weeks away. But then when you're coming out to a week out, or even like especially 3 days out, I should say, is like you can put in like any request. So everyone's request like a few days out is like white rice, maybe some chicken if you're into chicken. Just very simple meals. So the whole request thing is actually just the most simplest foods, whereas in probably any other area of the chef's kind of request menus are probably like the more fancy side of things. So it's probably a bit easier as an athlete to really just ask for the simple things when it comes down to it. And you don't have to be over the top. It's like we're getting great food, and that's all there is to it. That's all you really need when you're leading into a race, right?
With the athlete management, is there a focus, and we can tie this into the Substack and stuff like that? There's often there's a long bell curve with running, right? But I guess at your level of running, the top of that, or it might be shorter. Is there a focus in terms of athlete management on what happens after your, say, professional running career is finished? Is there, as we're getting into the sport, people entering the sport as professional athletes, is there a focus on what happens when people leave the sport?
That's a good question. I try not to think about that too much, because I want to think that I've got a few years ahead. And
you do, absolutely.
But I mean, it's obviously something that you should be thinking about as well, because where you go after the performance side of things finishes. And to my mind, I don't actually know that just yet, and I think I'd just like to continue to put in some really good performances, but also build a brand up around that. So I do coaching, and I got a great stable of athletes that performing really well through various events, trail running, road running. Had some awesome results at the Dunedin Marathon on the weekend. Shout out to Clinton Manson who won the thing, and Steve-O getting fourth, and then Brody Kane in Sydney getting a PB as well. So it's very cool. Like, you get a lot of inspiration from athletes that do, that achieve their goals as well. And so I want to continue to build that up. I've got the Substack side of things where I'm basically just documenting my journey through trail running and trying to be a professional athlete. And hopefully in the end, it can develop maybe into some speaking arrangements. It would just depend on basically what that transition might look like. Hopefully it's not a hard and fast transition where I get bloody like injured or something and I'm out for the rest of my life. But I'd like to just achieve everything that I want to achieve, and then just continue regressing performance-wise for the rest of my life. That's why I'd love to do it, because I just really enjoy the community and I don't want to retire. I just want to continue doing what I'm doing, and maybe maybe I'm not racing Western States anymore, but there's other races. It's cool racing local events. I'm going down to Tekapo this weekend, and I just really enjoy getting amongst it. So hopefully I can just be in the sport for a long time, and we'll see. In terms of career, I don't quite know yet. Long story short.
No, it's. I mean, you think about the dawn of that kind of true professionalism. And have you seen the Stephen Donald? Have you seen the Stephen Donald movie? They made a local one about a beaver, the kick at the World Cup, and he kept on getting out of the All Black squad, and there was that thing he kept on having to give the utes back. Have you seen that? And he'd have to go back and give his All Black ute, his SUV, back to the car dealership, and then he'd go away, and then he'd get back in the squad. And that was sort of portrayed quite a psychologically damaging, you hear or you hear. I mean, I wonder how that's going to go for some people, hey, because there was a boom or bust model, but the way you talk about it seems a more sustainable kind of lifestyle.
Oh, I'd like to think so. And yeah, I think it probably depends who you partner with as well. I'd say the Adidas Terrex team are very group focused. They foster an environment where you get along, you're part of the family. It's all good kind of thing. Yeah. That kind of feel. And so you're hoping if you get 10th place at Western States, not going to kick you to the curb type situation. But it is what it is, I'll just continue just rolling out hopefully rolling out decent performances, and then just enjoying what I'm doing. So if the enjoyment side of things at some stage lapses, and it's probably that would probably be hard to pick up on. I'm not sure, because I am competitive, and the enjoyment can transition between being ultra competitive and enjoying every single thing, which is it's impossible. You don't show up to work and every day's bloody sunshine and rainbows. It is pretty tough sometimes, and sometimes the pressure can feel like it's getting a lot. But the whole thing should be if you feel like that in some stage of a block, hopefully you've got good moments as well, and usually you do. So far for me, I do. I've had just amazing experiences, travel experiences, team experiences. I've gotten to share this with my family, with Michelle, and then especially, and when it comes to race days as well, those are just moments that you just look back on where it's very hard to put it into words around some of these races, because you do share that with the whole team, and I think I'll remember those kind of things just for the rest of my life. So as long as I just keep enjoying that and actually getting good memories out of everything, then that'll keep me going and just wanting to do more, just share it with the community.
I think it's not to be too parochial. It's a really Kiwi thing. It's about it's about your connections, right? It's about the people you're with, and that makes any experience. And you're so right. Work can suck, and you can have. It's not as binary as being type 2 fun or something. Something can feel so terrible when you're in it, and then you look back and go, actually, I did all right at that, or I did far better than I thought I would. But yeah, having those experiences with other people is so important. Hey, those training. I mean, the training camps look pretty fun. Is that something that? I mean, what's it like going to a training camp with the Adidas Terrex team?
Oh, yeah. So obviously I've got the training camps with Hayden, specifically, which are awesome as well. It's more of just usually just us two, or maybe
just going away with your mate. And
yeah, which is bloody cool in itself. And sometimes his other mates join, or if he's in New Zealand, we might have my mates join, or his mates from here, Scotty Hawker. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. But on the Adidas Terrex side of things, again, like it's just like more mates in one house. So leading up to UTMB, we had the house actually in the valley for about 5 weeks leading in, so we could really just get everything dialed in with the course, just feel like almost like at home. So when the race week approached, it wasn't like we were all just getting there and being like, whoa, blown away. And that can be really important because we're sleeping in the same bed, we're in a routine in this one location without having it, to disrupt with travel. And that can be a big thing as well. Another cool thing about being a professional athlete is having these houses in that team environment. But no, we've all got our different training plans, but you wake up each day and be like, oh, who's got an hour easy today? Oh yeah, I do. And then, oh yeah, should we just do a loop of the valley, just easy on the flat? Well, flat is relative over there, but it's very cool when you can just do that, and there's no egos. You just go at your own effort, and it's not a race. And that's why, I did the odd workout, but again, it's trying to go to your own. I did a workout with Robbie Simpson, who, he's a OCC, like 50K-ish specialist. I didn't actually realise it, but he got third at the Gold Coast Marathon.
Right.
Yeah, which is huge.
Terrifying.
That blew me away. So he is a very quick runner, on the flat, on the marathon distance, but he's also, as I found out, very, very strong on the hills. So I think our workout was like 1 times 40-minute uphill, and we did it from Argentière, which is the last climb of the OCC, the 50K UTMB race, right up to La Flégère and just beyond. Well, for him, far, far beyond, and for me, a bit beyond. And yeah, he was just gunning for it, so I tried to hang on for the first few minutes. And I was like, oh, no, I'll just, run this one out. But then we did we warmed up together. We did the downhill together. We got to share some cool yarns. It's all good. Then we got to go back to the house. And yeah, sometimes we'd go out and get a pizza with the whole crew in the evenings. Very, very cool moments. And yeah, you remember the training, but you also remember the cool just memories and stuff of hanging out with a new group of mates. And we actually got to, after UTMB this week, I don't know if you're going to go into this, but we got to go to Infinite Trails, which is...
I'd like to talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, so it was good. Ask me anything around it, but we went to... It's an Adidas Terrex, kind of camp, because the crew, the brand helps sponsor the race, and that's only a week later. And so then me and a couple of mates, we signed up to the team event and bought hats, and it was just a good...
So what? I'm very unfamiliar. I saw you running in a hat, and I was like, that hat looks hot to run in. What is Infinite Trails?
Well, Infinite Trails, yeah, it's a very cool just trail. It's in Bad Gastein Bad Gastein, yeah, in Austria. So we took a 10-hour kind of bus journey 2 days after UTMB to this place, and that was pretty punishing. Yeah. But once we got there, amazing. They put us up in this hotel, and we got, we got all the food and stuff supplied. They had such a lovely breakfast, cheese or anything that you really wanted, and then a little menu that we could order off at nights and get tapas and stuff. Just, again, this was just the hangout, so big de-stress after a very stressful, whatever you want to call it, UTMB week. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Even physiologically, you could say in an objective term, running CCC is stressful.
Yeah, and it's
okay to say that. It's a very you're being such a New Zealander. You're like, oh no, it's a stressful time.
But it's more so the toll that, so it's the stress, it's the physical stress and mental stress of the actual race itself, and because you're not sleeping real well around it. It's not really the lead-in and stuff. It's just a bit of pressure, but it's not stress in the way that you have to worry about things. It's the expectation that you put on yourself, stress. But then afterwards as well, you're cheering everyone on. You're not getting a lot of sleep. But then at Infinite Trails week, we just chilling out, going to the pool, doing some sauna cold water recovery stuff. And then the race itself was like, you can enter it, or we don't have to. We can just use the week as a way to completely just chill, support the event by being there, being around there, and just having a good old time. And so we did that, and we ended up racing as a bit of a fun thing. You've seen the hats. We wore some traditional Austrian hats, just full wool. Pretty hot day. Started to heat up a bit, but it didn't really matter too much. Still put in decent performances, and like we had some athletes that were targeting this race that maybe didn't race UTMB or wanted to back up at this race and ran like the 30k, 45, 60k. So it was real cool to cheer on teammates, and just this race had a real good celebration, real good after party. So.
And how far did you run?
I ran, yeah, but probably not great recovery. 35k with like 2,700 meters of climbing. I used the poles a lot in that race.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, it sounds it sounds fun, and it's so good that it sounds fun, because it's so often you hear about this stuff, and like you've balanced it. Obviously, you're doing the work, you're putting in, but there can be this kind of, I don't know if it's people try and over-egg it to kind of justify the fact that they get to do something amazing for a living. You know what I mean? And it's totally okay to go like, hey, that was really fun.
Yeah. Because that's what I mean. Like some bits are just super fun, low key. And then like, because you're placed in a position as a professional athlete where it's like, it's the same with us though, right? Like you watch golf players and you're like, oh, he flies in his private jet. He's just going out hitting, 18 holes, hitting a few rounds, and like they just get on the piss pretty hard, just having a good time, celebrating and stuff like that. But there's massive pressures in their lives as well, and it's things that we don't see. And it's like, oh, you get to travel the world and blah 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 blah. And don't get me wrong, it's like a great position to be in for me. Like I'm really enjoying it, but we are away from loved ones as well and friends in New Zealand, so it's something that you have to balance out and just make sure that you're getting everything kind of in alignment to enjoy what you're doing and be very whatever you're doing you're trying to be good at, but also just like staying kind of grounded and making sure that you're doing everything that you got to do to be fairly well rounded as well.
Your Substack's a good read.
Oh, thank you.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like, we've been doing Dirt Church Radio for a long time now, so we're in our sixth year of being a podcast, and there was a time when people would sort of go, sort of the same thing for us. I mean, not that it was super professional or anything, but anyone can bang out a podcast, anyone can bang out a Substack. And true that anyone can, and not that everyone should, but there are varying degrees, but have you always been someone who's enjoyed writing?
Oh, not too much, no. I still find it quite hard to, but I do enjoy it when it starts coming together, if that makes sense. Like
yes,
it's really, sometimes I really struggle and I'm like, I work with like a athlete manager or agent, Jace, who's like my sports kind of marketing agent, I suppose. Like helps me with like negotiations, and he was the one that suggested it. And I was like, at first I was like, oh geez, that sounds like a lot of hard work. But like looking back, I've done it for just over a year now, and it's like I never thought, if I hadn't done that, I would not have put words on paper to document my journey in anywhere near the same shape or form that has kind of come about from Substack. Like, you do the odd, I'll do the old Instagram post and maybe do a short recap on that from my races, but it's nice to have a bit of the longer form type media where I could now go back and be like, whoa, I've got a whole year of shit that I was doing. And thank you for saying that it's, half decent, and it is like I put a bit of work. I do try and put a bit of work into it and talk about, topical stuff that's going on in my life. And for the most part, pretty positive. And sometimes I talk about the harder moments as well. I've talked about post-race blues, which can come about for some people, and like it's pretty maybe interesting to read that everyone has those kind of things. You put your place in a position to leave it all out there, and then you have left it all out there, so you're feeling a bit drained afterwards, and you're not as peppy as the time that you cross the finish line. So yeah, I feel like everyone probably can get something from different topics. Maybe someone doesn't enjoy every week, but it's something that I've been doing, and I appreciate you saying that you enjoy it. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it, that post? I had a thing, I used to call it Sunnyvale Baked Bean Syndrome, because I, in another life, played music to a very high level, and it's probably the thing that I'm best at the world at. And we'd had this period where we'd been on like TV, we'd won a music award, we'd supported international bands, and I think we'd been on a tour. We had this packed thing, and then I remember being at my house, which was like a tiny railway cottage in this place called Sunnyvale, and literally one morning, like eating baked beans for work, just the sense of just like, oh my Lord, the contrast is so jarring. Hey.
Yeah, and so how did you get through that?
I think I just went to work. Like I just reflected that, hey, this is, you almost, well, like anything, isn't it? It's a constant state of, and I think about my job now. So a constant state of elation is mania, and mania will kill you, because we have to have times where we feel a bit bored. We have to have times where we feel a bit sad. We have to have times when we feel a bit annoyed about things, and generally on an even keel. So I think in that time I sort of just reflected on, hey, this is how it is, and really getting that sense of privilege that I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting kind of concept. I think is like you can't be up here the whole time.
No.
You don't want to be down here all the time, and you shouldn't be in the middle at all the whole time either. So I was actually having a bit of a chat with one of my athletes I'm coaching, leading the Tekapo this weekend. We're having a coffee, and he sent me a message this morning. He's like, "Oh mate, Dan, the old southerlies, we're going to meet at 9:15 a.m. He said, Dan, there's the southerlies blowing, and it's going to turn to shit at like 9:15. So by all means, like, it was sunny out here in Lower Hutt this morning when we woke up. He said, go out for your run now if you want. And I'm like, nah, mate, it's Lower Hutt. It's going to, he lives over in Crawley, but south from here. He's like, nah, it's Lower Hutt. She'll be right. It's always beautiful up here. And yeah, holy, at like 9 a.m. the rain, the wind started. Anyway, we met up for this coffee, and I was like, well, like, I've been in Chamonix I was in Chamonix, I was over in Europe, I was in the States, and I barely got rained on. It's not going to be bad for me to get, find this workout a bit hard or a bit tough to get out, and my hands are going to get cold, my face is going to get cold. It's not going to be the most enjoyable thing, but that's all right. That makes like the good times better. Yeah. And even this one's a bit harder. So I think, that's kind of the running mindset though. We put ourselves in tough situations, and yeah, we do that for a reason. It's because we want to get outside our comfort zones, and that's to bring, the lowest of the lows down here when you're really, really got your face down in a puddle of water and 90k through CCC because you're had it. But then that feeling of actually getting there and just, you can't beat that. So good to get outside that comfort zone.
And that's it. And it makes those sunny days even sweeter. I mean, you've been so generous with your time. Just to finish off, I mean, what's the year looking like ahead? What do you got planned taking the end of 24 into 25? Yeah,
so I'm trying to make the most of this first year as a professional of Adidas Terrex. So we do have team events, and those are the events, as I was kind of talking about earlier, is we can go. I wouldn't have to go anymore because I've put in some decent performances, like good performances, Western States, CCC, raced at Canyons. But there's the opportunity for me to now go over to Cappadocia in Turkey, and that's in October, and then Ultra Trail Cape Town in November. Okay. And so I've never been to Turkey, I've never been to Cape Town. So I'd love just to do some shorter, not short races, but like, 30k to 50k distances, just to, get the legs back moving, find a bit of speed in my training so I can target these races leading into next year. And so the perfect opportunity would be to, go race those and get one last lot of cool travel experiences. for this year. It is obviously a chat that I had with Michelle, and she's like, really supportive around it, and we are really making the most of our time over these next few weeks while we're together in New Zealand, and it'll be another 6 weeks, I think, while I'm away. So yeah, we're going down to Tekapo. We're just really trying to spend some real quality time together now before I take off again, and then I'll be back for summer after UTCT Ultra Trail Cape Town in November.
Wicked. And plans for, are you, and again, not kind of trying to nail you in anything, is Kepler on the cards? Tarawera, are you going to go back to Western?
Yeah, I think it'll be very tough to miss Kepler, but I have had amazing 6 years of racing Kepler.
Yep.
And so in the end, I'd love to be down there, and maybe I can race, but maybe it would probably be sensible maybe just to race. We'll see about that. For sure, I think Tarawera, being a golden ticket, it's looking like it might be a team. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. It might be a race where a lot of athletes target.
Cool.
This year. And so I'd love to be back. And again, I feel like Tarawera gets the best out of me. So I'd love to come back and just race against the best in the world. It's going to happen. There's going to be some big competition there this year with it being a golden ticket.
Yeah.
And then, Western States. Oh, I'd love to podium. I'd love to win it. It's a goal. It's a dream for me.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, eh? It's within reach, man. And wow. Thanks, man. This has been incredible talking to you. And look, this is the thing, eh? You're this global dude now, but you're the guy from Whakatāne. And that's really cool too. So
I'd rather still be called the guy from Whakatāne, to be fair. Or I don't want to get hate from Wellingtonians. I do enjoy it out here in Lower Hutt too.
You always got to shout. Wherever you live, you always got to shout for your home team, though, right?
That's right.
Sweet, man. Well, look, thank you very much. Enjoy Tekapo, and it's been brilliant talking to you.
Yeah, cheers, Matt, and thanks everyone for being a big part of it.
It was terrifying how fast the people must have been running OCC if Dan was like, I thought I could have a go at that race, and then I didn't know I'd end up in 100th place because, when he went up to have a look and was just like, nah, not doing it. If he's going, they're too fast. I can't.
Oh, you can't see me now, but I'm shaking my head. Oh my goodness.
And the other thing, that's such a relatable thing. He gets this big package of gear from Adidas going, oh, hey, try all this stuff on. When you've had your eye on a new pair of shoes and you get your new pair of shoes and you're excited and there's always that slight bit of nerves. Will this work?
Yeah, I guess the stakes are higher even when you're sponsored by a shoe company. It's quite catastrophic if it doesn't work.
Well, I guess for us, we just take it back to the shop and go, hey, this hasn't worked. But yeah, look, incredible, and can't wait to see, what my fellow 5-time Kepler finisher will be up to over the next little while. He didn't actually mention that we're co-5-time Kepler.
I think it's on his CV though. Yeah, he mentions that, just like Matt Raymond.
But both done Kepler 5 times. Also, he just this weekend, for those who are listening, obliterated the course record of the 30k Tekapo. So 15 minutes. So not bad. But look, that's us. Amazing. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're on social media at Dirt Church Radio. You can email us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. Now, also, don't forget to sign up to the new podcast and newsletter, the DCR Aid Station.
Don't forget to send us in your greatest run ever, sponsored by Squadron. Send them in to us, dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. People love hearing them and reading them.
And thanks to our supporters for the Faster Currents and Squadron, and our Substack subscribers in the DCR Aid Station crew. Now stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks we have another great guest lined up, and check out the DCR 8 station next week.
Hey, kona. Thanks, Rigby.